Hey students, guess you're not used to seeing me in this direction, huh? Yeah, usually out and about doing other stuff, but I think this is a suitable place to talk about how everything here is going to end, you know? After last time's epic battle, I went down there and, well, I destroyed Petey/ship and nothing left there, so I don't think I'm going to go to the galactic torture chamber, but I still don't feel great about it. What I do feel pretty good about, though, is I managed to salvage some parts from his intelligence and create a fairly basic new intelligence that would allow me to at least call my ship in. You ready? All right, ship, show yourself. Pretty sweet, isn't it? Want to get a closer look? All right.
Oh, fuck.
Andrew Lasher, you are under arrest by the Intergalactic Space Police. Please come out with your hands up.
Well, it certainly looks like I'm in a lot of trouble, doesn't it? Thought I was going to get away with it, but those intergalactic police are smarter than I expected, I guess. And, well, the good news is I'm able to finish this video and one more to finish the class, but immediately after that, I have to go to the Intergalactic Intelligence Crimes Tribunal, and I'll do my best to represent myself, but it certainly looks like I will be headed to the galactic torture chamber for all of eternity. Not a great way to end things, but what are you going to do? Until then, though, I really do want to finish this class because it's important to me. So let's talk about adjective clauses here a little bit. As a refresher, we know what clauses are, right? Clauses basically are groups of words that include both a subject and a verb, right? They make up simple sentences. I like pizza. I, subject, like, verb. There you go. Now, an adjective clause is a dependent clause. Dependent clauses add subordinating conjunctions to the front of them that mean they can no longer be sentences on their own. Independent clauses can be sentences, right? But dependent clauses need an independent clause to attach to. Three of the basic types of dependent clauses are adjective clauses, adverb clauses, and noun clauses. For the case of this, we're going to ignore adverb clauses. It's too complicated and we don't have time. And we're going to basically gloss over noun clauses, but they're quite similar to adjective clauses, so we'll talk about them for a second. All right, so when we talk about adjective clauses, what are we talking about? Interestingly, noun clauses and adjective clauses are both basically made up the same way. They both begin with who, that, or which, usually. The difference is noun clauses replace a noun. So for example, if I say, whoever ate my sandwich is crazy. Whoever ate my sandwich is a noun clause because we can replace it with a noun. If I said, Bob is crazy. Whoever ate my sandwich is crazy, right? That's a noun clause. An adjective clause, on the other hand, takes the place of an adjective. Obviously, it's in there in the name, right? The man who ate my sandwich is crazy, right? Now, who ate my sandwich is an adjective that modifies the man. Which man? The man who ate my sandwich. Good. Now, how about appositives? Have you heard of them before? No? Appositives are basically adjective clauses that are shrunk down to the bare minimum. Okay, an appositive is just a noun or maybe a noun phrase, and it works like this. If, let's say we have the sentence, two sentences. Professor Lasher is a wonderful person. And then Professor Lasher taught my WAE 194 class. We can make this into a positive. Professor Lasher, a wonderful person, Taught my WAE 194 class, right? Or we could change it into an adjective clause. Professor Lasher, who is a wonderful person, taught my WAE 194 class, right? So basically we shorten it down. Now, to make an appositive, you have to have a special type of adjective clause. It has to use the be verb, is, are, was, were. If it doesn't use a be verb, we can't shorten it down that way. All right, so anyway, adjective clauses themselves, they do the same thing that adjectives do, right? They modify nouns. If I say, I have a new car, right? New is an adjective in that sentence. If we switch it up and then we say, I have a car that is new, that is new is the adjective clause. It has the same meaning, right? Now remember, adjectives themselves almost always come before the noun that they are modifying. However, adjective clauses always come after, always, right after the noun. Okay, so anyway, a sentence which contains one adjective clause and one independent clause is the result of combining two clauses which contain a repeated noun. For example, before I used Professor Lasher twice, right? So you have to have two clauses that contain a repeated noun. This includes pronouns, right? Or a noun and a pronoun that refer to the same thing. That's fine. For example, like this. The book is on the table. I like the book. The book is in both of them, right? Or the man is here. The man wants the book. The man is in both of those sentences. So what we do is we delete the repeated noun and replace it with a relative pronoun. In the clause that you want to make dependent, you can choose which one should be the dependent clause. So for example, the book is on the table. I like that is a relative pronoun we can use, right? Or the man is here. Who wants the book? We replace that repeated noun with the relative pronoun. Then we want to move the relative pronoun to the beginning of the clause. So the first one was the book is on the table. I like that. We need to move that to the beginning. So it would be the book is on the table plus that I like. For the other one, who is already in the beginning. The man is here plus who wants the book. All right, then we want to move the adjective clause that we just made to directly behind the noun that it modifies. So the book that I like is on the table, or the man who wants the book is here. It's pretty simple, isn't it? All right, anyway, how about those subordinating conjunctions, the relative pronouns that we use? You already heard who, that, and which, and we're familiar with them, right? We also use whom sometimes. I never use whom. There are some English phrases where you have to, or some English clauses where you have to use it, but generally we don't use whom anymore. All right, now what's interesting is we can remove those relative pronouns from the adjective clause when they are the objects of verbs. Now, if they're the objects of prepositions, we can omit them, but only when they don't follow the preposition. Okay, now let's talk about them. Who replaces nouns and pronouns that refer to people, right? We can't use animals or things. Who can be the subject and also the object now, right? We changed it. Whom is the same as who, but can only be used in the object position. Of course, as I said, we just use who in the object position these days. It's not a big deal. We don't worry about it anymore. But whom, if you want to use whom, it can never be the subject. That's the important thing. All right, which refers to things, not people, right? It can never be used in place of people. It can be subject, it can be object, a verb or preposition. Either one works. And that is our all-star player. We use that in the case of everything, right? Subject, object, people, things, whatever. That works in just about every sentence. All right, now here are three more that are not that often used. Whose, when, and where. Now, whose is fine, it's possessive, but when and where are often the relative pronouns for adverb clauses, so we need to be careful with them. Anyway, whose replaces possessive forms of nouns and pronouns. It can refer to people, animals, things, whatever. It can be subject, it can be object of a verb or preposition. But it cannot be a complete subject or object. And whose can never be omitted. We can't get rid of it like the other relative pronouns. So for example, here's a couple sentences. The man is happy. I found the man's wallet. We put them together. The man whose wallet I found is happy. Now notice whose is not the entire subject there. It's whose wallet, right? We need to have an extra part. Another example. The girl is excited. Her mother won the lottery. The girl whose mother won the lottery is excited. Okay, when replaces a time. And with year, month, day, something like that. It cannot be a subject. And it can be omitted. So here's an example. I will never forget the day. I graduated on that day. I will never forget the day when I graduated. But we can express this in other ways too, right? I will never forget the day on which I graduated. I will never forget the day that I graduated. Or get rid of it entirely. I will never forget the day I graduated. All right, where replaces a place, right? Country, city, school. Again, it can't be a subject. It can be omitted, but when we use where, we normally have to add a preposition if we remove the relative pronoun. At, in, to, something like that. So here's an example. The building is new. He works in the building. The building where he works is new. All right, and again, we can express this in different ways too. The building in which he works is new. The building which he works in is new. The building that he works in is new. Or just the building he works in is new. Cool. All right, now restrictive and non-restrictive adjective clauses. A restrictive adjective clause contains information that is important to the understanding of the sentence. So for example, people who can't swim should not jump into the ocean. It's important to know that it's only people that can't swim should not jump into the ocean. People who can swim, then maybe it's okay. So in this case, we do not add commas because that information is important to understanding the subject. A non-restrictive adjective clause, on the other hand, gets commas around the adjective clause, and the information is not as important. So for example, Professor Lasher, who can't swim, should not have jumped into the ocean. That part, who can't swim, is not super important, right? You know that I shouldn't have jumped into the ocean, whatever. So here's a question about this. If I say, my brother, comma, Victor, comma, is ugly. How is that different from saying, my brother Victor is ugly with no commas? No idea? I will tell you. If there are commas around it, the implication is that I only have one brother. So the name Victor is not important to understanding the sentence. However, if there are no commas, the implication is that I do have more than one brother. And so the name is actually important in identifying which brother it is. Okay, last thing. I think this is getting a little bit long here. But adjective clauses can often be reduced to phrases. If the relative pronoun is the subject of the verb in the adjective clause, and there is a be verb involved, we can change it into a phrase. So for example, people who are living in glass houses should not throw stones. Who is the subject? Are is the be verb, right? And we can just change it to people living in glass houses should not throw stones. Now it's a phrase, not a clause. Or another one, Mary applied for a job that was advertised in the paper. Again, that subject was be verb. Mary applied for a job advertised in the paper. Okay. But how about this? We can do the same thing with the relative pronoun and a verb that is not a be verb by changing that verb into an ing verb. So, people who live in glass houses should not throw stones can change into people living in glass houses should not throw stones. Or one more. Students who sit in the front row usually participate more. Students sitting in the front row usually participate more. All right, that's about all we have here. My battery is about to die on this camera, so we got to wrap it up. I'm going to go prepare for my intergalactic tribunal trial. See you guys in a bit. Have a great day.